tournaments and all of this shenanigans and
Dude,
such.
playing tournaments, baseball outs. I can't pee in public because of COVID. Dude, like this wasn't even just a thing at the Cruise game. I'm telling you, man. I go to the Mario movie last week, and I'm like, all right, I'm
What
ready to
happened at the
brawl.
Mario movie, man?
I mean, man,
Was it good at least?
it was good. I mean, spoiler alert, he beats Bowser, gets the princess, not a revolutionary story being told in the Mario movie, but you know what was something that was being told in the Mario movie was the fact that I can't freaking pee in public because of my bladder shyness. What
Pray
up,
for
though?
Sean, y'all. Pray for
Welcome
Sean, y'all. I forgot to tell him we are
are
live.
live. No,
Take
I knew
over,
we were
Sean
live.
Murphy.
I knew we were live. Welcome to Woodward Pistons Table Talk, the first and original live weekly Pistons talk show, especially the first ones on Thursday nights. I'm your host, Sean Murphy, alongside my guy, Brandon Dent, a.k.a.
Hey, thank you for the kind and the warm welcome. And it's always amazing with the sound effects. I always
Hey,
feel like a star, man. I've never felt, larger in life than when Sean Murphy is announcing the name for the starting rotations. It's dope, man. It's
I mean,
dope
we
every
got to
time.
rock that energy, man. We got to rock that energy. It's a Thursday night. That means it's Woodward Pistons Table Talk night. It means it's a good night. What's
Hey,
going on,
come on up.
Dwayne? Welcome to the stream, brother. We have a lot to dive into and a lot to talk about today, Kool-Aid.
We do.
A lot of stuff we've been talking about throughout this week, talking about, but also we have the playing tournament going on. We have some updates and some reports on the Pistons coaching search. We have Kid Kool-Aid extraordinaire in the
Hey,
building. What up,
we
Kid
were
Kool-Aid?
nerding out today, man.
Man, you both are wearing the Flash
Let's
shirt.
rock,
Look
man.
at
What's
that,
up, man?
man. I like it.
Let's rock.
Ooh, and
That's
the handshake going. I should have expected the handshake. That's not surprising, but I like. Is Flash both of your guys' favorites?
No, Batman.
Of course. There we go.
Batman.
Raised right. I had to test to make sure, but definitely raised right. Well, nonetheless, I mean, you still got the swagger. That is the secret, Chuck. Kid Kool-Aid's really the one writing all those articles. Kool-Aid.
he is. He's the
Yeah, his
inspiration.
dad's
He
just
is
yeah, his
all of it.
dad's just the face of the operation. Like the other day, Dwayne Casey was talking to Kool-Aid. I was like, all right, real talk. When are we getting your son here to take your
That's
job?
what it was about. They're just
Yep.
waiting for him to turn 18 right
Yep.
now. I'm the adult in the room, so I'm able to at least go in there and try and represent, but he's the mature one there.
I
He
think Troy
is the
Weaver
real
was
brain.
even seeing when this kid turns 18 so he can potentially, like get eligible to step on the court. I heard he's got some handles, Kool-Aid.
Hey, you got some handles? Hey,
Yeah.
you got some handles?
Yeah.
Show him how you grip the rock, man. You got a shot though?
Oh,
Let
yeah.
me see it. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
I like it. I like it, man. No, yeah, we've been working, and look, we're gonna have some content going up on his channel, Kid Kool-Aid DET. Where he's working every single day, man, just trying to get better and better and better at his craft, and he's just trying to become just a better person every day, right?
Yeah.
Hey, I love it. I love
Hey,
it, man.
that's awesome, man. He will take the reins from dad or the reins from Cade when he's of age. The answer, Chuck? The answer's both. But anyway, let's dive into it, man. There's a lot of basketball happening. There's a lot of, Detroit sports happening. I would be remiss because Kool-Aid, you have no idea what I'm talking about. That I feel like we have to start right here because I need your authentic reaction.
Let me know, brother. Let me know. I'm a little nervous right now.
Now this player has since gotten pulled from the game and has been benched. But a little bit of a backstory. Kool-Aid, we had acquired this player last year named Javier Baez, and he was supposed to be, a formative piece of what we were building going forward. Something winning, supposedly. And I'm just gonna let this speak for itself.
Oh no.
It
You better
is
tell me,
the
bro.
it is the top of the second inning. There is one
Go
out.
Tigers. Let's go, Tigers.
Yep. We get a pop-up into center field, pretty routine, and Javi totally forgot what out it was. He had no idea how many outs there were. He went to turn third as if he was rounding home, as if there were 2 outs before this. He didn't know how many outs there were.
What, bro? How is it?
You
Never
are
mind.
a
It's too early.
professional baseball
It's too early in
player.
the season. I don't even know what to say, bro.
It's one thing if you don't. It's one thing if it's like you're running super hard, you know what I mean? But it's like, man, I listen. I'm not a baseball guy, but Neil
Our
Rule
sports
said it
teams,
best.
bro. Our sports teams.
He says, good news, there's only 4 years, $100 million left on the deal. Unless he opts out after this year, of course, which I'm going to go out on a limb. I don't think he's going to opt out. I don't know why, but just a thought. He's not going to opt out.
Hey, I love Chuck tonight, man. Shout out Chuck. Shout out Chuck.
I mean, at this point, I'd pull a Josh Smith with Javier Baez and say thanks, but no thanks there, bud. Oh my gosh, unreal, man.
I'm
Unreal.
over here. I'm like in the stats and everything, and it's just like, goodness gracious. I just need. I want the Tigers, irregardless if they're good or bad. Just give me some decent baseball. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to be there at the game, and it's like, yo, they had major blunders.
You want to enjoy what you're watching.
Yeah, just a little bit. Like, you know, towards the end of the season at the Palace, I keep calling it the Palace. Goodness gracious, I missed the Palace.
I mean,
at Little Caesars Arena.
I mean, that's okay because you could still call it like my buddy Robert and I, we like to call Little Caesars Arena the Pizza Palace. So there you go. That's a way to keep calling it. So shout out to the Pizza Palace.
I like it, man. But the crowd was hype. The crowd was hype, man. People were into the games. It seemed like every time the fourth quarter came around, if they were in a game, the fourth quarter just absolutely dismantled it. But people were there. They were cheering. They were, all over the concourse. Like when people tell you that the fans are probably in the concourse and not in their seats at certain points in the game, that's a real thing at LCA. And I know you've been there. It's a real thing there.
It is.
And so it was awesome to be there. People say, man, how could you cover it? They only won 16, 17 games. I'm like, because the energy was hype. The fans that we got to interact with was hype. The games we went to and got to interact with people that were hype. We went for some wins, a lot of wins, some good games, when we went as a crew. It was, I don't know, man. It was good. So it's like I was hoping for that type of environment, at least with the Tigers, even the Red Wings. It's a good environment. The Lions especially was a good environment. Even when they were one and whatever, it was still a good environment. You could still see that they were trying to do some stuff. But yeah, Tigers, please
just give us something fun to watch, man. That's all I can ask for. But anyway, you know what has been giving us something fun to watch, Kool-Aid? NBA play-in tournament's been going on this week. And specifically last night, Hold
on. See, Sean don't be telling it right, man. You got to introduce it right, man. Because look, we got From Half Court, Sean Murphy on. He is our NBA representation. He is. And we're going to get some content up on this channel to represent that a little bit better, too. So now you can get into the play-in tournament. Since our Pistons aren't there, I have to acquiesce over to Sean Murphy.
I appreciate it, man. Well, hey, in the world of the NBA, things were popping, man. Last night, my boy,
it's like Carl. It's been so long. It feels like
it's been like 2 weeks, but it feels like it's been 2 months. So
my pride and joy, my beautiful boy, Carl. It's so good to see you, my guy.
Man?
Good to see you guys.
We were just talking. Did you see that play in? Did you see that beautiful play from Javier Baez?
Put it back on.
No, I saw Carl's smile. I saw Carl's laugh of pain there, and I know he knows. Yeah, he knows.
Look, man, all I can say is that I won't be making any more Tigers edits in a long time.
You know what? That honestly, at this point, I think that's kind of deserved. But you know what? We were just getting into the NBA world, specifically how poppin' things have been in the NBA play-in tournament. Not only last night did we see our first ever 10th seed win in the play-in tournament, we actually had 10 seeds win in the play-in tournament. One of them being the Chicago Bulls in a wild comeback over the Toronto Raptors. What up, though, Jalen? But also the Oklahoma City Thunder because of a late run from SGA Shea himself. The Oklahoma City Thunder live to see another day. And personally, guys, when I was watching these games, I mean, a couple things, came out for me. Number one, I think the Pistons' path in the East is going to get a little easier next year because I think there are two teams they were playing against that are prime candidates to blow it the up because my God, I mean, the Bulls have moments. I mean, when you have Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan, you have moments where it's like, man, the shot creation's excellent. But on the other hand, the Toronto Raptors, I mean, I felt like I was watching Nick Nurse actively lose his job last night. It was pretty crazy. But then also on the other side of it, I can't help but watch the Oklahoma City Thunder. And for one, just be happy for all of them and the success that they've had, especially for some of the few years they've gone through. But also, I can't help but watch the Thunder and fantasize what it's going to be like with Cade Cunningham at full health, ready to do what he does. Because, man, when you talk about, like what player in the league is the case study of what Cade can be, I mean, it's SGA, guys. I mean, it is like when you watch SGA, there's moments where you rub your eyes and it's like, is that C2?
Bro, it was awesome to see them play against each other too. When OKC and the Pistons get together, because you can tell each time Cade he had a tick about him in each one of those games. He wanted to kind of go at those guys, and the matchups were physical. Lou Dortz and SGA, they play very, very physical brands of basketball. Yeah. They're able to kind of bump people off them, get into that mid-range, and do things that, honestly, we miss seeing Cade do. He has to continue to get stronger, and I think that's something that he probably, noticed when playing against, dudes like that. But, man, oh man, they look like a formidable trio, man, out there in OKC. I'm hoping we can get that out here.
Well, look, we were talking about parallels, right? You see a little bit of Cade and Shy. Who do you see in Chet?
I mean,
on the Pistons.
As far as Chet goes, he's the anomaly. He's a guy where like he's gonna come in and be totally different. When I look at Detroit and I look at like who's gonna be like the person that's closest to playing that role, I think it's gonna be a combination of I think Jalen Duren, is probably the closest as far as you look at the shot blocking, roles and like what they're gonna be asked to do like in the interior. But I think a lot of like the on the ball stuff on the offensive end, because I think Chet's going to look very much like Draymond Green, and I don't think a lot of people realize it. I think in that way, I'd compare him to Isaiah Stewart a little bit, where he fills where he's needed. He does a lot of different things. He's a surprisingly good playmaker. Chet's kind of a Swiss Army knife on the offensive end.
So I like that answer, but I was looking for Wemby as a comparison.
I mean, shout out to Carl. You know how seriously I take the basketball gods.
I do. I was actually interested in your truthful answer.
I'm doing borderline like rain dances at night. Like I should be I'm bringing like bouquets to the basketball gods. Like I'm massaging their feet. I'm doing what I have to freaking do, man. But I mean, Jalen, do you get a similar thought when you watch the Thunder? And what do you think the Pistons need to do to be in that same position as them next year?
Well, first, I don't know if you saw. First off, what's up, everybody? How y'all doing?
What up, Jalen?
I hope y'all good.
My first to the week.
My first thought. I had a tweet yesterday. I said if it wasn't Cade Cunningham, I would have drafted Josh Giddy. And I know that's not a popular, take, but he's one of my favorite young players because he's like He can give you 20, but he can also give you 8-20-8-8 or 25-10-10. So, like Cade Cunningham can do the same thing too. He's not Cade's a little more polished, I'd take a little more aggressive, but Giddy, if he gets there, like that's one of my guys. So I love Giddy.
Oh man, I could do a whole soliloquy on my love for Josh Giddy.
He's a baller, man.
Oh.
Yeah, people tried to go at me, man, on one of the Wilbur Pistons podcasts with Rod when we did a redraft. And I was like, Giddy's tough, man. Like, I feel like he's underrated. I had him above Franz. People told me I was crazy. I'm like, bro, like he affects, I don't know, man. Like, yeah, Franz is good, but Josh Giddy affects to me so much more.
His IQ is so high, and I don't think nobody understands that. Like, potentially he's a walking like 20-8-8. He can give you probably more on some nights, but he's almost a walking triple-double. And he's not even like 22 yet, I believe, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I like what Franz has to his game. Like, I like the, like, don't get me wrong, he's like the quintessential scoring wing and like everything that you want from like that position. But like, simply what Josh Giddy brings is far more than that. Like, he's already an elite playmaker. He's a guy that, isn't a slouch on the defensive end by any
not at all. No.
And then you talk about how much he's improved as a shot maker already. Like, I'm telling you right now, like, I mean, if I'm doing a redraft, I mean, I'm not even sure what your order was, Kool-Aid, but I would go Cade 1, I'd go Evan Mobley 2, I'd go Giddy 3. Easy.
I can get with that one. My fourth might be Sagoon. You never know. But anyway, that's
I mean, honestly though, Sengun has been like, I tweeted this out. I will gladly say I was wrong about Alperen Sengun. Have you guys watched that kid play? He can hoop. Like, if anything, he's the franchise player. With all due respect to Jalen Green, build around Sengun.
Yeah.
John, my fault, bro. No, they remember the Chet love from last year's draft coverage, bro.
Man, all I'm gonna say, if Chet is even 3/4 of what I think he is next year, I'm gonna be so annoying about it.
If he's halfway,
I'm gonna be so annoying about it,
bro. What if he's just halfway? What you expect?
Oh my God. I mean, they're already in the play-in without him. So
That's scary. Troy Weaver came from there, bro. He has that mindset and that mentality. Like, he was raised in the NBA by those people.
Well, and have you seen the pictures of Chet too? Like, this guy's bulked up this year. Like the questions of can this guy gain muscle? He's gaining muscle. Like, pretty, like, and it's not like little. Like, this guy's looking freaking gigantic. So
it's scary. It's kind of scary though too, man,
because
it's very scary though, because like you said, SGA and Cade, they cancel out. Not yet, but in due time they'll cancel out. SGA's, he's crazy, man. He's finally, he was never bad, in LA and whatnot. He was a young, stuff like that. But OKC is a problem. Lou Dort, I can't stand Lou Dort, but Lou Dort is just one of those dudes. He's gonna make you work. And if he, like last night, I don't know if y'all watched the game, he was locked in last night.
I mean, Lou Dort's a guy that you hate if he's not on your team, but God, do you want him on your team?
I'm jealous of that player, man. Like, OKC is doing it right, bro.
Well,
they got the tools too. They got a good bench too, man.
And then the ultimate difference, like, if you really want to talk about like what's putting them over the edge, really. It's the fact that they were able to trade prime Paul George and MVP Russell Westbrook and have all these first round picks. So going into this summer, they have 2 picks this summer. They have 3 or 4 picks next summer. Like, they just have all these picks, which, I mean, obviously they're not going to keep. And here's the crazy thing. We still haven't even brought up Jalen Williams. Like, when you talk about how good and how deep they, like, that's just when it goes.
They can all score too. They can all score, like, to our comparison. We have that too, but it's not fulfilled yet, I'd say. Like, Ivy's going to become great, I assume, and I hope. Cade's going to become great. The 3, that's questionable right now. I don't know who's going to be that third option. Dorn's going to be great. Wiseman, if he sticks around, cool. But I feel like we're missing that three, that consistent three, possibly.
I don't think the third option's on the team yet.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. I don't think he's here yet either. I don't.
Yeah, Devin Booker's not here yet.
Wait, what? What'd you say?
Our third option, Devin Booker.
Devin Booker's not here yet.
I thought, look, I'm zoned in on something else, and my ears was like, Devin Booker?
Devin Booker?
Devin Booker?
I mean, that'd be nice too.
I'm trying to manifest as much as I can right now because watching the play-ins yesterday or the past few days, man. Even if we, I mean, I'd rather make the playoffs, obviously, but even just be able to play for something. Our team play for something. Watch our team play for something. I'm itching for it, man.
I was upset.
I think the big thing though, and like obviously it sucks, and you watch those, it's like, man, we want to be playing for something. I think there is a genuine striking difference between the first game of the night and the second game of the night, because if you're in a situation because it's one thing to be in the play-in tournament like the Thunder and the Pelicans, where those are young franchises on their way up in the league. They're establishing who they are as players. You have like SGA, like that's like a big moment for him. That's his first moment leading a team past getting a victory in the postseason. Whereas the Bulls and the Raptors, I mean, the Raptors made it to the conference finals in 2020. Like they're like on their way down. The Bulls last year got swept by the Milwaukee Bucks. So like, even if they win this playing game against the Heat and get into the Eastern Conference playoffs, I mean, these teams are playing for a right to get their asses kicked by Giannis. let's just call it the way it is.
This is it. This is it for the Bulls. I watched the game last night. I think I seen you tweet about it too. Like, it was a great win, but the big three with Vooch and DeRozan and Levine is great. They're great players. They don't have a point guard though, so none of this is going to work at a point guard. And it's showing every time they play. They're struggling, and DeMar and Levine can never go off at the same time. It's always one goes off and the other one kind of creeps up, but they're never dropping. It's like the Tatum and Brown thing, I think, over there.
And wouldn't this team look a lot nicer if instead of Nikola Vucevic, they had Wendell Carter Jr., who they traded to Orlando in the first place, and Franz Wagner, the player that they traded the rights to? I mean, like that's the thing that's like really tough to watch with some of these franchises is like you cash in and you're like, because Chicago reminds me very, very much to where Detroit was a few years ago. Even
I was just gonna say,
when we were trying to get Derrick Rose, like that type of mentality of, we're gonna try to be competitive. We want to be in the mix. We want to, even if we might not necessarily win a ring, but it's like, what mix are you really in? You know what I mean? Like that's the question. And so which I think honestly, you want to talk about who this benefits. It benefits teams like Detroit, because I think going into the next couple of years, I think you're going to have these programs stalling, if not having to explode what they have. And that opens up the way. I mean, teams cycle, right? I mean, that's why some teams are in the middle, some teams are in the bottom, some teams get to it's all a cycle. So, we're eventually going to start seeing some teams cycle into the crap.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about this on the screen, and that's a good point. So before we move on, did anybody else have something they want to talk about?
I mean,
related to OKC, the rebuild they got going on and whatnot.
I mean, Troy Weaver said it himself. I ain't putting a ceiling on that guy. Like if he adds a jump shot, man.
Not even like a 3-pointer, just like a 15-footer.
Yeah.
Just a 15-footer,
The Antonio McDyess special.
If he gets that and he's confident with it, he'll be set by like 23. I kid you not, 22 maybe, but he'll be set early in his 20s if he can get that. I don't want it next year, but if he can get it within the next 2 years or so, I think it'd be pretty cool.
Man, that's sweet Antonio McDyess special, baby.
Hmm.
Right from
he
the
was
elbow.
tough, man.
Ooh.
He was tough, and that's why I wanted to bring this up. You know, can Duren be a third option? I think that Chuck brings up a good point, and it kind of plays into what we're going to talk about. So it's just one big conversation. Pistons, good or bad next year? How realistic is the play-in tournament? And largely, it's going to depend on these players. Troy Weaver said that they're going to depend on internal growth. They need the players that they've identified as the next up to literally be the next up very, very quickly. Not that they're looking for these guys to go out there and snag the 4th seed next year or even straight up in the playoffs, but the players are saying that they're ready to compete for, you know, if they're healthy, for the play-in, just like they were supposed to last season. That's what they wanted to do. And so Duren, I believe, is a big part of that. Last year, the question mark was G League and all that, and he talked about that. Troy and Casey talked about it, that as well at the media sessions. You know,
how Coach Casey was the player to say this boy ain't going in the G League.
Yeah, he ain't. Yeah, Casey was on like, look, he ain't going nowhere. He's staying right here. Now the questions this year are surround, can he be that third option? How good can Duren be? Like, we know the effect he has on the game, but is that effect something to where we're like, well, he can be a good 4th or 5th option and his skills, just let his natural skills and abilities be? Or is he somebody that we can start to see stepping more into like somewhere between a McDyess and the legendary KG?
I mean,
I'm glad you didn't say Andre Drummond because I thought that's what you're gonna say.
Nope. He's already. To me, it's just like, yo, the big man triage. That's when Drummond was his best. That's what Duren is already doing and showing a little bit more proficiency on the offensive side. I think Drummond was a little bit more versatile on defense at this stage. Remember, early in his career, he was guarding out on the perimeter pretty well, but that kind of faded after like year 5 or 6. But Duren is already I love Drummond, but Duren, oh my word, man! Like, the sky's the limit. Like Detroit has said, Paul George has said, everyone is saying it. I'm not putting a ceiling on this guy. People are already starting to elevate what we thought he could be. We came into the season wondering, can he give us what Drummond can give us? The NBA players are saying that boy is baby Dwight. Y'all are putting too low. It's like a floor on him. Like, his start is just different, man. So
Andre Drummond also didn't have Cade, so
man, he did this stuff without Cade largely, which is even
that's the thing is.
And to throw another nugget into this all, Dwayne Casey did say before the season ends that they are planning on working on all of the bigs to stretch the floor, all of the bigs.
Yeah.
So we are talking about just a mid-range shot, but there could be even more than that.
Yeah,
and that
I mean, you see Duren practicing. I mean, threes after games and stuff. It's not like, and he showed flashes in college that he could hit. He has a mid range. He could get or develop a mid range game. So
he looks comfortable in the mid range when he takes attempts. Go ahead, Jim.
Right.
I bet. I don't know if y'all like watch, but like Hedo Turkoglu, right? I think it was like 08, 09. Watch how him and Dwight Howard played, like those two together, right? I'm not saying Hedo's like Cade, but he was very smart and precise with the ball. The pick and rolls that they ran were like, I think it was like a 75 success, 70. It was like 60 or 70. I looked it up like a couple of days ago. That is how I feel Cade and Duren can be. Because they're both Cade smart with the ball, high IQ. Duren's IQ is much higher than most bigs, like young bigs, I would say. So I feel like those two next year are going to be – we have the Cade and Ivy duo, you know, that we like to use, but I think Cade and Duren are going to be like the wild card, you know, low-key duo that's going to pop out. And we know it's going to happen, but until we see it, I don't want to jump the ship, you know.
No, I agree because we saw what Cade and Bagley were when Bagley got here, and I think it could be very similar. I mean, I don't see why not. Not to say that Bagley and Duren are the same player, but
I mean,
they were nice.
I think Bagley just showed what a simple pick and roll threat can do alongside Cade Cunningham. But then you also throw in the fact that this is just a completely different athletic specimen, a big that we, you know, don't see coming to the NBA on a regular day-to-day basis. I mean, good Lord, what this guy can do. I mean, like we saw Jaden Ivey's, is a great playmaker in his own right, especially in the pick and roll. And I think you saw when he and Doran really got their chemistry going and you got cooking. I think you saw glimpses of what he and Cade can do together, because as great and as many strides as Jaden Ivey showed as a playmaker this season, I mean, Cade's already that guy now. And he needs guys around him that can get to the spots he's capable of throwing it to.
Look,
and I just think, real quick before you jump in, Kool-Aid, I think there's certain passes Cade can throw that only a handful of human beings in this world can catch. I think he's already got one of them in Jalen Duren.
Yep. Cade, man, he is that deal. I just wanted to put in like this side point. I don't think we have a player on the roster this year that like affects the whole gravity of things more than Cade has. Like even Ivy, when he drives, I don't see the whole defense collapsing on him the way that they did on Cade Cunningham last year. It was crazy to see some of those. Like go back and look at Cade Cunningham highlights. Look at how the defense in the second half of the season was paying attention to that man. Like the whole defense was shaded towards him. We already know the historic, double team rate that he was at. Especially for a rookie, getting double teamed as like one of the main guys. And he still was one of the top clutch players in the league, man. Like if he can keep that up, which we started to see, and we know he had that 4-game stretch, 3-4 game stretch before he got hurt, or before that kind of clunker in Boston, in which he was done after that. He was averaging like 27, 7, and 5, I believe.
Yeah.
And the shot was looking good. People want to say he wasn't shooting good during that stretch. He was, and he was hitting that rhythm. And, I being able to talk to Cannon and everything, he said that Cade was rearing and ready to go. Like he wanted to go back out there. He wanted to kind of make up for that because he felt like he hit a stride. But obviously for the longevity of this rebuild and the longevity of his career, they're doing things the right way. Everyone want to talk about this person up here and compare Cade to Grant Hill. The reality is I feel like this staff is being much more proactive with this young star than the Pistons of old were with Grant Hill. So that's one thing that definitely comforts me. But Cade, I believe that as it relates to the Pistons and his plan next year, obviously he's the straw that stirs the drink, but I feel like he's even underrated, man. I mean, really do.
I think he's overlooked. I think
that might be a better word.
Yeah, I think the simple truth of the fact is, listen, we can acknowledge everything we want to about, because the simple truth of the fact is not only is Cade great, his draft class is great. I mean, Evan Mobley, all the credit in the world to him. He's about to go win Defensive Player in the Year in his second season. I mean, not many men have that claim in the history of the league, but it shows you how special Cade is, where if the Pistons had the chance to do it all over again, I think they'd take him again in a heartbeat, because the simple truth is he's, we've talked about the importance of this over and over again. He's the number 1 overall pick as a person. Like he is what, the intangibles and who he is as a human is what you need in order to build a championship team. Evan Mobley's the cherry on top to Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland. None of the success that they're seeing could happen without that. And so if Evan Mobley came to Detroit, there's no shot he's winning Defensive Player of the Year in his first 3 seasons. It's not happening. Right. Even if he plays at that same quality of play, it's just the circumstances, the way it's set up, and like when you're building an NBA team, the first thing you need is a dynamic shot creator, a playmaker, but also a connector, a guy who can get people to come together and buy into a vision. And that's Cade, man. And one more thing, don't underestimate the importance of about the fact that he has a healthy offseason. The fact that he can get in the lab, the fact that he right now is starting to get into full running in a week, in a week or two, he's going to be full hooping. So when it comes back around for training camp, he's not going to be rehabbing. He's going to.
It's crazy to think that he was doing what he was doing on it, like while being injured, because apparently he's dealt with this since high school or something, and the fact that he's been playing like this injured is really It's crazy.
He was a consensus #1 pick with a bad wheel.
Right.
Yeah.
And you remember everybody questioning his his lack of explosion, his speed.
That would explain it.
And it explained that a little bit, but it still didn't slow him down.
No, it's
like
not
winning
too much.
the Indy 500 with a broken tire the final 5
He
laps.
took off a few times this year too. Like he caught a couple bodies this year too.
He did.
He did. One of them got him kicked out the game too. But
on Chill Night.
Yeah,
one of the Chill Nights.
I think he's there. He can take a hit. He's learning to get tougher and whatever. Because he didn't get fouls when he first came to. He hasn't really gotten that yet, to be honest. But he's starting to get more aggressive, and I hope this surgery helps him get more comfortable with that. And because Cade in high school, like, and you look at his highlights, and even college, he was like taking flight on certain dudes, not like body to body contact. So I'm looking forward to him getting more healthier and coming back stronger this year.
I am irrationally high on what Cade's ceiling is. I mean, I'll just say it. He can win MVP. Like, he can be a multi-time MVP. I mean, just with what he like there is a realistic ceiling where he's a top 5 player in this league. Just with everything he brings. I mean, and like if you don't believe me, like I think Shea is getting to the point where he's getting into top 10, top 5 right now with everything that he can do and all the places he's bringing his game. The blueprint's out there, man. And when you have the software that is Cade Cunningham that's running that cyborg.
Jalen, I want your take on Cade Cunningham on these young Pistons, man. It's starting with Cade Cunningham. If you want to talk about any of the other young guys, definitely go on ahead. Feel free, but I feel like he's kind of overlooked. I used to say underrated. We had the Cade Zone on the Woodward Pistons podcast. We made sure that we continued because we said, hey, our coverage should feature our stars, right? And I think he's that guy. You just heard what Sean thinks. Carl, what you think about Cade Cunningham, man, before we let Jalen kind of go? I mean, I already know what you think, but just so you can let him know.
He should legally have to change his name to Cade Cunningham.
Well, I already got the CC going, so I'll just
let's rock.
Change
Let's rock.
I think I agree with Sean at the MVP thing. We've seen him do it all the facilitating. He can score. He has the tools to be able to be a good defender too. So I wouldn't be surprised if he did get MVP at some point. Yeah.
No, can y'all see my screen?
Yep. We saw the shirt. I love it, man.
Again because this is one of my prized possessions, man. This is one of my prized possessions. I had to retire it. I actually got it made in Vegas during that night when they were playing. I was out there in Vegas the same night. Crazy.
Bro, that's baller.
Yeah, I went like this to
that's
the mall.
Legendary.
And I'm like, I'm from Detroit. Can y'all make this? I got the picture as soon as they posted it. Went to the store and got it. But for Cade, I think he gets overlooked because we just don't win. And I cannot make it any – it's because we don't win. If you look at Mobley, he's in a winning situation. He gets noticed. Scotty Barnes, they're winning. Well, they were winning. But they're better than us, put it like that. They're a better team. Even Franz Wagner, like, they're doing a little bit better than us sometimes. And this is players – and Giddy too. It's just players who – are in the same draft class, who are on winning teams, who didn't expect to win this early, and that's what they get looked at more. Because you look at Jalen Green, he's not having a terrible year, but they're losing a lot. So they're not really caring and looking to see what Houston's doing. So Cade gets overlooked, underrated. People don't understand what he was doing before he got hurt, unless you live in Michigan. I'm going to be honest with that. A lot of reporters make it known they don't really care about Detroit sports. Sometimes, they don't like, covering us and all that. But I think next year, a few months from now, he's going to show out. Who else am I really big on? I'm really big on Doran. You know that. I think Doran's going to have a breakout sophomore year. Ivy's going to get more comfortable, more patient with the ball, I would say, with his shots and everything. But Yeah, I'm not worried about Cade. Cade is going to probably go to a few All-Star games, a couple NBA teams. Like, Sean said, it's very doable for him to win MVP. I don't think we're going to be bad for that much longer. And the moment we get some type of notoriety for just winning in anything, they're going to follow. It's just how the world works. When they see, success in winning, they flock.
Well,
if you're not, I'm just saying, when people aren't winning, people, you starting to do something, they don't believe in you, they don't come around until until you're on top or you're doing right. So I'm not worried. Kay is going to be fine. I'm excited. I can go on all day about this one, but Cade Cunningham, no, like I'm locked in with him though. I really feel like he's going to bubble this year.
I think there's so many stars in this league that unless you are putting in the results in the wins or loss column, that it is just hard to show you that respect and that attention, because we are at the point where even the bad teams have a reason to, have a reason to tune in. You know what I mean? Like even the Indiana Pacers have Tyrese Halliburton now. You know what I mean? Like it's like just the landscape of the league is different. But I mean, again, you want to look at what people think of your franchise player. The best place you can go is hearing what stars think of your franchise player.
Mm-hmm.
And don't just take our word for it. Kool-Aid, if you want to share what I just shared on the screen on here, there's someone who there's a pretty big star who's pretty high on him too.
Giannis, 2 straight games against Cade Cunningham. Just what did you see from him out there, and maybe what impressed you as a up-and-coming guy?
I love his game. I love the way he plays. He's never in a rush. He's added to his game, pull up twos a lot, get to his spots, around the elbows, being able to raise up over defenders, putting his shoulders into guys to create space. He feels like you can never rush him. It reminds me of Chris a lot, the way he plays. He's improved from last year to this year. I feel like the sky's the limit for him. He has a bright future, but I just love the way he carries himself. He looks. I don't know him. I haven't talked to him. I have his jersey actually from last game, but that's the only interaction we've ever had. But I like the way he carries himself. He looks like he's a very humble guy, and he's all about the game of basketball. And he leads by example. He's not. He lets his game do the talking, and he does talk a lot.
Hey, start that over. So play the beginning of it, because I'm gonna show you something. Watch how people watch. Drop that back in so we can do that. Watch when they realize who you're talking about.
Games like Cade Cunningham. Just what did you see from him out there, and maybe what impressed you as a?
I love. It was like, all right. I love.
Let me see if y'all can hear this.
Can
you hear this?
Yep.
Cade Cunningham. What did you think of his game tonight?
I love him. I love his game.
All of them. DeMar DeRozan. I love him. All of them, bro.
You can find
recognized game, man.
You can find clips of Chris Paul doing the same thing.
I love it. Like they instantly do that. I love that dude's game.
Kevin Durant doing the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, like all you need to know. There are 2 ways you can tell how franchises think of your player, and it's how the star players talk about them, and it's how they defend you on a night-to-night basis. Night 1, this guy was getting double teamed. Night 1.
Yep. Shout out, Mr. Jones. Mr. Jones. He is very consistent avid supporter, man. I'm glad every time I see you able to log in. So I'm grateful that you got to get into this live stream. Look, when he misses them, man, I see him in the chat. It's like, no, I missed the live stream. So I'm happy that you're here, man. I'm happy that we see a lot of the people in here, man. Tom Capone, RB the baller.
Man, 60 people strong in here right now, man.
Let's go, man. Hey, definitely, man. Smash that like button to support. We got a lot of new content coming to the channel. Sean, Jalen, and I, we were talking about some stuff after the last little stream. And we got some things on the way, man. Got some stuff on the way.
Hey, a side note too. I'm glad Cade doesn't get any foul calls. I'm blessed. I'm blessed. You know why? Because if you play sports, you know what that means. That makes you a dog. Him not getting those foul calls, he's going to attack more and earn the respect. I think he's already gotten it, but they don't want to admit it yet. But I think some of the refs see it, but some of them don't. But when he like starts to keep doing it, he gets that respect. He's not going to stop one bit. I promise you.
I think getting fouls in the NBA is very similar to how catchers frame a pitch for an umpire. I think a lot of times it comes down to how you make it look. I think Giannis has mastered that. I think Trae Young has mastered that. I think James Harden has mastered that. And I think, for one, I mean, obviously Cade being a young player, that's definitely a big part of it. But I think also, I think if Cade can really learn how to, not cheating or anything.
You can say finesse, manipulate.
Yeah, finesse, manipulate. Like it's all about the framing. Like catchers do it all the time. It can look like it's 3 feet out of the plate, but as long as they have it positioned in a perfect angle so that to the umpire it looks like a strike, that's all they care about. They're not going to go back and go, "Oh, we'll see that ball was out." They're going to go, "Oh, well, no, it looked like a strike from my end. Oh, it's a strike." Like that. I think it's a very similar thing with referees in the league. Like you got to learn how to make that contact look more like there's things where Cade can if he gets bumped, he can have a little extra theatrics, like if he's flannel, he's like, "Hey," like there could be the "Hey," and then there's a little bit more. Ref goes, "Foul."
You know what I like about Cade though is that I believe he needs to add that. That's something that Chauncey Billups added later in his career. As he got mature, he understood it's not a hit to your pride. But Cade and these young Pistons, they said it in their press conference. Actually, Isaiah Livers said it. He's a little bit more mature, a little bit older of the young players. He said, look, these guys, they never quit, man. They're not comfortable with losing. They want to win. They're not looking for the easy way out. They're looking to work harder to get over the hump, not to look at what their weaknesses are or make excuses or this, that, and the other. They're looking to push. They're looking to just be great. They're looking to win. Ivy said the same thing. Isaiah Stewart, they asked him about his three-point shooting. What happened during this time? He said, man, I ain't trying to make no excuses. He said, yeah, but we know you got a shoulder injury. I mean, if you want me to talk about shoulder injury, then da-da-da-da. But, and Cade, what did he say after that season with no foul calls? He said, man, I got to go get stronger. I gotta make them call the foul calls. Even though we know he's earned them, man. If you get fouled, you got fouled. It's like that's the mentality that I love out of these young players. In a rebuild, when you're taking losses the way you're taking, you got to figure out, what are these guys actually working at? Where are the steps being taken, towards this restoration? And it's the mindset. The bad boys walked in and they owned some teams just based on the mindset going in. The going to work Pistons the same way, man. We saw teams celebrating scoring over 70 points in a loss. So these guys right now getting that kind of chip on their shoulder that they talked about that, this year sucked. I don't even forget about no draft. Like, I'm trying to win. Like, we're winners. We come from situations where we win. That's what Jay and Ivy said. Like, man, I love the attitude. I love it.
I get excited for just what this summer looks like for them in the sense of I know for a fact that, like we saw last summer, just how many times, Cade got these guys together, how much of a priority they had in being around each other. I could only imagine how it's going to be taken to a different level this offseason, just with the relationship that he and Ivy now have, just the brotherhood and the bond that they all went through together, but also the drive that these guys are going to have to make sure that what happened last season doesn't happen again, that they never have to live through that again. Those are real things.
I love seeing. I love seeing how upset Jaden Ivey was after every loss, no matter how many losses in a row. Like I loved it. You just didn't.
And he came out and he played his ass off because of it. Like played his ass off. And I just and the thing is that for a fact that that he's just gonna only be going into I imagine that guy's maybe taking a week. Maybe, but even during that week, you bet he's still sneaking in the gym in some way. Like Jaden Ivey, he's a certified basketball sicko. And I mean that as a compliment.
He's a gym rat.
He is.
Work. That was everybody who talked about him said two things in common. He's a great person and he's a hard worker. From Casey to Cade Cunningham, everybody said that about Jaden Ivey. And I love that he's humble too. I love that he knows that he has to be really good, but he's taking such a humble approach to it. Even in the aspect of how he and Cade Cunningham talk about each other, you can see the wheels turning like, nah, we got to work. Because think about how great they could be together if they make it work. I know that Troy Weaver has, we've talked about this for a year, guys. Troy Weaver has had to have learned from his time with OKC. He's had to have had some way to be able to show people, hey, look, I know y'all grew up saying, yo, what if these guys worked it out? What if Russ and Durant and Ibaka, what if in Harden, what if those guys worked it out? Well, now you got those guys coming up with basketball IQs, a little bit more mature, good people, and they can play the freaking game, man. What if these guys actually do say, you know what? This is early in our career. We're not even at the stage in our careers where we can get those crazy, crazy supermax contracts. What if we did just play our role for a few years and see what we can make happen rather than doing it the opposite way? Like, I like the way that LeBron did. I think the precedence he said is that if you're going to do it, try and do it within the early parts of your career. If you're going to go team up and do this and do that, have the back end of your career maybe to focus on where you can get those larger contracts. But I don't know. I'm hoping that that's something, because how good can these guys actually be? We have another draft pick coming in this year.
Well, I think it's telling that you even hear like in like the final few games, we heard RJ Hampton talk about how everyone in that room has a desire to be a Piston. But even on top of that, you even hear like Cade and Ivy. One of the big things that I took away, from the exit interviews, neither of them really even had the idea that they were like Keith Langlos said in his article, both without even knowing that they were talking about this to each other, talked about how they both loved the other guy as a person and how they just want to make it work badly. Like, obviously they see the potential on the court, but they just love the other guy that's next to him so much that they want to make it work. And listen, I don't want to compare him too early to the great generations of backcourts that we've had in Detroit. But what have those great backcourts been built on?
Come on, man.
A great relationship.
You can say it. Go ahead.
The connection of Joey D and Isaiah Thomas. The connection of Chauncey Billups and Richard Hamilton. That is the beginning of a special backcourt. And the fact that Jaden Ivey and Cade Cunningham clearly have that in spades, and you throw in the athletic freak that Jaden Ivey is, and you throw in everything that Cade Cunningham is on the court. I mean, I get why people were hesitant about these guys working at first, and I know we still want to see it on the court. My concerns are to the side.
We'll be fine.
I'm just over here looking through my phone. I'm a sicko, bro.
Man, that's from Hall of Fame night, man. Oh,
that's a beautiful sight, y'all.
You took that?
No, I wish.
No,
I
that
wish.
was
I was on socials that night. So
that was I believe that was the night that Ben got inducted in the Hall.
Mm-hmm.
And they were Chauncey, Isaiah, everyone came out.
They was all there together for sure. I remember that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh man, it was dope. It was dope.
Yeah, man.
It was
that
dope
was a cool night.
Yeah, because it just you get it. You see that these guys get it. We talked about Duran and the Fro, and I got that clip. It's probably gonna drop tomorrow, Sean. We're gonna put that out because that was hilarious. But
gosh.
we talk about, do these guys what they're doing? Do they get it? And they have to. We know Ivy has to. We know he has to, man. He's a kid of Detroit. He calls himself that. It's in his lineage. Irregardless of how much time he lived here or not, it's something that he's consistently stayed cued in on. And it's I don't know. I see all of these guys kind of taking this thing really, really personal to them. I gotta ask, how close do you think this team can get to the play-in? Like, how dependent on whatever else has to go on this summer do you think it is?
Personally, I think if Cade didn't get injured, I think this year we would have had at least 25 to 30 wins, which is kind of the amount of wins that I was looking for at the beginning of the season, this past season. Depending on where we fall in the drafts, if we get Wemby, I think you can easily add at least 5 to 10 games onto that. So I'm looking. I mean, who knows? I mean, any number of things can happen throughout the season, but I think it's a very real possibility that if we have the internal development that we hope and expect from these players that we currently have, along with any free agents and or top 5 picks, we'll see whoever we decide to bring in. But I think it's very real possibility.
I think people underestimate the vast improvement there will already be just from Cade Cunningham being back in the lineup, Jaden Ivey being there in year 2, and then whatever we get in the lottery. Like that alone, if the Pistons were to do nothing else, that's a successful offseason and inherently makes them better day one than they were last year. But you also talk about the fact that the Pistons are able to work around the edges. Potentially get different guys in the rotation. I mean, listen, we love these guys, but I mean, like Corey Joseph and Rodney Magruder are both potential spots where we could see improvement through the rotation. The Pistons have the option, like on Hamidou Diallo this summer as well. That's a guy that we can keep, or we can potentially move on if there's an upgrade at that position. The Pistons have an option on they can clear as much as $40 million in cap space this summer if they were to go the full salary cap route. If they were to even get rid of guys like Alec Burks. However, I expect Alec Burks to be in Detroit, so more realistically, $30 million to work with. If they were to even just go get just a solid wing this summer, it doesn't have to be a star. It doesn't even have to be Cam Johnson. Like if you just get a Cam Johnson-esque player, this team's a play-in caliber team.
Yeah.
I think it is.
I think it's just health. I think if we're 85% or like 80% healthy with the team we have, the draft pick matters. I will say that, but I feel like whoever we decide to get is going to help immediately. I think Victor probably more than most, and Scoot and B Miller, but I think whoever we get in the draft and that one, we're gonna sign one person. I don't know who it's gonna be, but we're gonna get someone. You got Kuzma out there, Cam Johnson, anybody that's gonna be willing to come and play, 3-and-D guy hopefully. But I'll say it here. I think we were better than Indiana when we're healthy. I think fully. I truly think next year is it. If we all stay healthy as a team and we get who we get in the draft and the free agency and whatnot, I'll book the play-in, because the teams this year, like Sean said, Toronto and Chicago are not going to be the same next year. Something's going to happen. Miami too, because they're same team. They ran it back and they got worse, it seems like. So something's going to happen, but I'll say it here. I'll be the one to take the bullet for it. I'll say it. If we're healthy, and I mean no major case, not out for 2 months, stuff like that, we're going to be at least number 10. At the maximum, I'll say 10.
I'll take it a step further, Jalen. If we get Wemby, we're the 7th or 8th seed.
100%. I'll back you up on that one.
Wemby and Jeremy Grant are taking over the chats a little bit.
Yeah. Yep. Despite what dum-dums like Mike Valenti might tell you, Victor Wembanyama is going to be able to come in day one and make an impact. Like all this talk about it's going to take 2 years at least for him to start looking like the player that he's going to want to look like. With all due respect, you're not watching. Like the simple truth is Vic's going to be ready day one wherever he goes.
I mean, he might not be as good as he's going to be, but he's still going to have an impact on the game. I think
he might not be as good, but he's going to be good.
Yeah, he's going to have an impact on the game. That's facts.
And it's with good players, good young players too.
It takes a lot to keep a 7'5" guy with in shoes who has handles, who has a jump shot to keep him from his spots.
Right.
Come on.
This comment here, bro. Tom Gores, man, can you make that work for us?
Which, by the way, can we give? Which Chuck showed that comment a second ago about John Beilein. Can we give Tom Gores some credit on the amount of money this guy's spending alone on the coaching staff, on the front office staff? I mean, John Beilein, I'm assuming he's not going anywhere. I mean, it's it sounds like he's a pretty ingrained part in our player development staff. Mm-hmm. But then you also have Dwayne Casey in the front office. You have a solid coaching staff, as of right now, with a lot of really good names on it. I mean, we are quick to criticize owners when we don't feel like they're putting forth the equity that we think they can. I think it's pretty important to praise Tom Gores for putting his money where his mouth is and really putting together a staff to build a program.
Yeah, and that was something that Weaver and Casey, they've talked about almost religiously. Is that Tom Gores
shout
is
out
committed
Carl,
to this.
by the way.
Yeah, shout out Carl, man. He had to run early tonight. But it's great being back on. It's great. We're gonna be way more consistent during the summer. But yeah, they talked about the impact that Tom Gores wants to make and how disappointed he is that they haven't done it yet. He comes from a world where sometimes money can accelerate things for you, whereas that's not the case here. And he had to learn that kind of the hard way. And seeing where they're headed now, it was hard for Tom Gores to realistically, man, I don't even know if I should be saying this, but it was hard for Tom Gores to agree to effectively go through what they're going through right now. He did not want to tear it all down. He wanted to kind of rebuild on the fly, and he listened to the basketball minds around him. He listened to even the business minds around him, and he listened to the people, to the fans. He wants a winner. Think about it, man. He came here and put 40 to $70 million into the Palace.
It's a lot of money, man.
That's just on the fans' entertainment, on their experience. Like, that's crazy as that.
You know what? And to give Tom Gores credit, man, I mean, just in his first 10 years alone, he's helped move the organization back into the city of Detroit. We have more young talent in this franchise in these last 4 years than this franchise had in 30 years. I mean, listen, you're gonna have to throw more than a bag at Mikal Bridges.
I saw that too. I was like, oh.
They turned down 5 picks at the deadline, and then this guy started playing better. Like it would take a gargantuan package to get Mikal Bridges. That's another conversation. Yeah, like if you look at like the record might not be there, but the investment is there. The drive is there, but also the evolution is there, because Tom Gores, again, at the beginning of his tenure, he wanted to continue to have a winner. He wanted to do it the right way. He cared about integrity. He didn't want to tank. He didn't want to, do things that he thought weren't ways to get to a winner. And he had to learn how to build a program, and he had to have basketball people have the real conversations with them. Which, by the way, who were those basketball people? Ed Stefanski, Troy Weaver, Arn Tellem, and Dwayne Casey.
Hold on. Some of the most respected minds in basketball, period. If you do not understand when we say Arn Tellem, please look him up.
Man,
he was the first super manager. He was the first super player manager. All of those high like deals and all that stuff. Arn Tellem, man, you want to talk about like the relationship that the Pistons have with the NBA now and with the players. So Ed Stefanski, go and look up his history. Dwayne Casey, players around the league talk about how good he is.
That's why
Troy Weaver.
Like, he has built a top class front office, executive room, like player facilities, like team arena, fan engagement, fan experience. Like when you look at the investment that he's put into it all, like I get sick of seeing the Tom Gores slander, because you can tell when owners don't give a damn. Tom Gores gives a damn.
100%. 100%.
And go on, Jalen. I was just gonna say, shout out RB the baller. Look, he ain't lying. The fans were there all season, bro. Detroit showed up. There were people coming from even Ohio, Dayton, Toledo. I was interviewing the man, like on the concourse, getting it up on the socials and such.
12th highest attendance this season in the league.
No, I mean, like, it was times where like people, you weren't driving to the Palace to go see games. We weren't good. Like, it's not a close trip. But if Tom Gores has the city of Detroit, like, in his hand, like, it was times where I was going to games. We were going to probably lose a game, but it's a vibe down there, man. LCA is probably one of the most fun arenas in sports. You know what I'm talking about? Like, it's just
Tom Gores isn't. He hasn't built an arena, and the arena he had was privately funded arena. He put his own cash in. When he owned his own arena, he put his own cash in. He does not own an arena that's subsidized. That's the illegis, and that's a whole other story that maybe Sean and I would do on Kool-Aid and the Murph.
Yeah,
that's a whole different story.
It's a different can of worms, and I do think, you know, I would love to see, you know, like some additions to LCA to make it to add a little bit more of a Pistons experience to it. I know it's been a conversation for a long time about getting Isaiah Thomas a statue. I would still love to see that happen.
The said what the deal was with that, man.
Yep.
Man.
I will still advocate for it to this day, but that's okay.
We need to add that to each show then.
I will say though, like it's cool to see the Blake. It's cool to see all the All-Star jerseys in there. If you go up in the second floor, there's the Pistons Museum that you can walk through.
It's beautiful in there, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just you know, everything's in there. Concerts, games. It's a beautiful spot to have, and it's
world-class arena.
It's in the heart of the city. You know, they weren't in Detroit for years. You know what I'm talking about? So they come back. Everything is downtown, and it's only one thing left we have to do before that place breaks and win. That's winning. Once we start to win, remember how like we had that streak a long time ago of sellout crowds? Remember that streak?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Remember,
yeah.
Dude, I was there, man. Like,
yeah,
they had it on the sign, like 250 plus.
Yeah, every
games.
game we were there, and I'm telling you, if we start to win just a little bit, it's going to pack out so crazy.
Well, we have the evidence. Remember in 2019 how packed the LCA was for the first round against the Milwaukee Bucks?
People love results.
Knowing full well we were probably out in 4. That arena was packed through game 4.
Bro, they want the Pistons to win so bad. They just want them to be good, I think. I think people want those beginning of the summer playoffs. Do y'all remember it? Like, now I know for a fact, like, we were all at the arenas together growing up. Like, I know that for a fact because, man, like, do y'all remember how fun it was going into May in his playoff basketball?
Waving those things back and forth, those whatever you call those noisemakers, man. Like, it was
the thunder sticks.
Watching from Shane Park when they were on the road. Oh, my goodness, man.
Some of my favorite. All right, now that we're in this part, I feel like we're in the reminiscing part of table talk now. Can I tell you guys some of my favorite childhood memories at the Palace?
Go ahead, brother.
I got to go
before we wrap up.
In 2005, I got to go to not one, but 2 playoff games on their finals run. The first game I went to was round 1, game 1, which was against Allen Iverson, Samuel Dalembert, Andre Iguodala, and the Philadelphia 76ers. We handled business quickly in that series and also in that game. Really cool experience seeing Prime AI in person. Unbelievable. And then Eastern Conference Finals, Game 3, Pistons Heat 2005. Prime Shaquille O'Neal, prime Dwayne Wade. I will never forget the experience of seeing those guys in person. Granted, we got our asses kicked, but we won the series. And seeing, you know, I mean, we talk about there are literally since when I saw Dwayne Wade and then when I saw Jaden Ivey, there were a few athletes in between that made my jaw drop like that. Seeing both those guys in their athletic prime. Incredible.
Yeah, man. I remember so many things from the Palace. I told Rod this though. One of the cool things that I kind of hated and missed at the same time was after wins, at the very least, that parking lot was horrible. Just in general. But after wins,
kill that parking lot and do send it to the abyss.
You could have took a nap in the car and you still be in the parking lot, dude. Yeah. That's how bad it was as being a kid, man. Like, I used to be so upset because I knew we weren't going home no time soon.
You could watch a movie in that parking lot, dude. I swear.
No, we had a party, bro. After one of the playoff wins, we were there, and the whole parking lot was like, yo, we gonna be here. And it was just music, it was dancing, it was partying, it was people like with the little things waving around their heads and all of that. And it was wild, man. It was just like, all right, we're gonna be here. People in their car hanging out, because that little line how it snaked through the whole parking lot. It was amped. And it was like, sometimes I miss that feel. I don't know if the Pistons have any aspect of like tailgating or anything, but going out to the Palace, I remember people used to be in the parking lot and just before games and after games having fun.
Yeah.
Having fun, man. It was something I kind of missed. I thought it was unique. I hated it until I felt like it was gone. And now I'm just like, man, I'm just walking down Woodward to the game now.
There was just, the LCA is awesome. And I fully believe when we get there that there is like, and I already think there is a special energy developing there. Don't get me wrong. But at its apex, when that team was booming, when that team was at the top of the league, when that was the team to see on a night-to-night basis. Because yes, they had the best in the world coming into their house, but they were the event. Like, they were the event. And so, again, you don't even have to have super duper stars for this team to go nuts for you. Imagine, like we talk, I know that we know the value that adding a Victor Wembanyama does to a franchise. But y'all, can you imagine the energy of Detroit if the Lions and the Pistons are both booming?
I might stay in the house. I know my city. For my benefit, I may.
You might want to get your groceries delivered for the next year.
And then too, like you said, like it's no parking lot downtown. I know where I park at. I'm not gonna say because you guys might like these. They might take it, but it's a great parking spot. Masonic Temple. You park right there. It's no parking lot, so I do understand what you're saying, Kool-Aid, about how you're just walking down the street, you find somewhere to park, you're walking down. But if the Lions,
you ever see a concert there, by the way, at the Masonic Temple?
I have.
I saw Tyler the Creator there a couple of years ago. It was lit.
Yeah, I'm a big concert dude. You'll find that out very soon. I was at LCA one year 11 times and 10 times for concerts and most for a game.
Jalen, we're going to it. Well, we're just gonna message and figure out what concert we're going to together. But
works for me, man. I'm always down for that, bro. Like, trust me. But like you said, if they're both winning, though, I'm gonna be scared but happy because I know how this city gets. We've lived it. We've seen it. Even when the Lions were, making the playoffs those few years ago, we saw it. Like, we've seen how the city was. So, it's gonna happen.
So the biggest thing for me, the reason why I don't like to joke around with the Wemby thing too much is because I like to think about, because if let's be serious for a second, guys. If the Detroit Pistons land Victor Wembanyama, not only is that a great thing for this team from a basketball standpoint, from a practicality standpoint, but guys, we talk about a city that has been hurting for 20 years, over 20 years, but especially just not only in sports, but economically, culturally, socially, just all the different issues that face that city. You talk about the impact it would be for this team to be able to make it happen and be able to get a Victor Wembanyama, what that would do to the city of Detroit. Man.
I would hope so. I don't want to get my hopes up too much, Sean, for him.
No, neither do I. But that's why I don't joke around about it too much, though, because it's real. It is real. That is an economic impact.
It's gonna. You get him here, everything's gonna go up. Prices for tickets, everything just the price as an organization is going to skyrocket. Excuse my language, just skyrocket all the way up. Oh my God, Kool-Aid's gone.
Kool-Aid's power went out.
Oh no,
Kool-Aid's power went out.
Well, guys,
we had the stream.
Oh boy.
just gonna be here. Like, Jalen, we're just stuck.
It's okay,
I have
man.
no idea how to end this.
It's okay. Oh boy. Oh man. I was waiting for him to come back, and I'm like, oh boy. I was like, oh man.
Because it has to be shut off from the host end. The only way I'm gonna be able, like, I have to like straight up like figure out how to log into this account. Well, hey guys, this was Woodward Pistons Table Talk, man. I mean, yeah, Chuck said it. Got to stream till the power comes back on, Sean. I guess, Jalen, I guess we're stuck here until, man, I you know what? I'm gonna message Kool-Aid, and we're gonna try to figure this out really quickly. But I just shared a couple of my favorite experiences of Pistons games as a kid. Jalen, I want to hear yours because you're a new member of the crew.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we've been able to we can tell that you got it on the basketball front. We know that you can talk your ball.
I appreciate it.
But I want to hear the heart behind the fan. I want to hear what got Jalen to this point.
Well, you know, basketball was always it. You know, I played every sport, but growing up, all I knew was Detroit Pistons winning. Like, it was never. I had my favorite players, but they weren't in Detroit. You know, like my favorite players were AI, T-Mac, and Kobe growing up. Those three, you know. But I had my favorite team here with Ben, Rip, and Chauncey and everything. So just seeing us win growing up was fun for me, I'd say. But like experience-wise, man, I went to a Philadelphia game, and Allen Iverson had on a Donovan McNabb jersey. He wasn't playing. So as a kid, that broke my heart because I didn't know he wasn't going to play. The whole thing was to go see AI because that's my favorite player, you know. So that hurt. I told you about the Nets story, the triple overtime game. That was lit.
Man.
Who else did I see, man? Oh, boy. We had played the Spurs, and it was very cool. It was very cool seeing Tim Duncan play, but I despise the Spurs.
Dude.
This was before we lost them in the playoffs, though. This was before. So I don't like them. But it was fun seeing them. And my favorite Piston game that I can say that wasn't the Nets games when we seen the Cavs. And this was in 2007, before the playoffs. Seeing LeBron was fun. But then like 2 months later,
the Cade Crusaders here to save the day.
But yeah, man, that whole thing, Sean, LeBron that year was fun, but like 2 months later, he single-handedly took us out the playoffs. So yeah, I love it though. I love my Detroit Pistons, man. I love them. You know, I make jokes about them, I talk about them, but all in all, I'm just waiting to see him win again. And it's finally to that point where I can see the light just a little bit. And Kool-Aid, man, you left me.
Speaking of seeing the light, Kool-Aid, I saw, because I texted you, I was like, did your power go out? Because all I saw was the lights out and just you sitting there like, and then I was just like, oh yeah.
I was like,
but we were just sitting here for a minute laughing. Chuck was saying I was going to have to, like, people were saying I was going to have to sleep on stream until you came back. I'm like a lost puppy waiting for you to come home.
Oh, man.
Oh my gosh! But Kool-Aid.
Hey, I'm glad you guys held it down as always.
Oh yeah,
it was a very long laugh though. Like it was a very long laugh between me and Sean.
Oh yeah.
Wait to look at it again.
It felt like the inmates were running the asylum for a minute there. It was pretty funny. But now that you're here, Kool-Aid, I'm going to start wrapping it up because I'm afraid you're going to lose power again. Thank you all to everybody that tuned in tonight to Woodward Pistons Table Talk, the best and original live weekly Pistons talk show Thursday nights at 8:00 sharp. If you like that, be sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, share with your friends, and join in the conversation down below. But also, be sure you're following all of us on social media so you're not missing any of the latest and greatest work that we're putting out there. Follow my boy Kool-Aid at Detroit Kool-Aid. Follow my boy Jalen.
Respect on my man Cade's name, man. Let's go.
Follow my man Jalen at Jalen HTV. And follow your boy Sean Murphy at Sean Half for it. But with it, folks, thank you all so much for tuning in, and we will catch you next week for another edition of Woodward Pistons Table Talk.
Let's rock.
Be sure you subscribe. My voice is gone.
Hey, hit that like button on the way out, y'all. We appreciate
I need something
y'all.
to drink. I need something to drink. My voice.
Crusader.